Yo, what's going on everyone? Back with another Elliott Wave analysis for Bitcoin. If you guys are wanting more of these Bitcoin video updates, please make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel so that I know everyone is interested in these videos. It really does help. You guys smashed it with the previous video, so let's do it again. Also, make sure to turn on those notifications as each minute that passes after the upload is very crucial. Now, getting on to the price action for Bitcoin, everything is working in our favor heavily. We have now confirmed the previous break above this high here as anticipated. A lot of people were looking for a rejection around these levels here, but now that we're above these levels, a small rejection around these levels is kind of going to be kind of expected if we're still seeing this as a diagonal idea. Now, to kind of quickly recap, we were one of the first people to actually identify this actual pattern, albeit a little bit early. We were still expecting three waves. We were seeing no impulsive nature happening. So that made us believe the only mode of pattern to go forward was a possible diagonal idea where we still had only the first two subwaves being created. Now the remaining subwaves 3, 4, and 5 are going to be concluding with three waves in between to eventually create that contracting look for that primary wave 1 of the higher degree, and then we'll get a wave 2 pullback, and then we're going to be working for that most profitable wave in theory for that wave 3. So this is working out fantastic. As you can see, we were calling from these levels over here. We are still technically kind of working correctively to the upside, but it is starting to look impulsive in nature as well. That is kind of the dilemma when you are talking about the wave theory, because you are going to have hybrid waves for these actionary waves in itself, and actionary waves being waves 1 or A or 3 and C's and so forth. So right now we do have that 3 wave here. Nothing changed here as a WXY complex correction. We have another WXY complex correction here. I just have it counted as WXY. You can alternatively see this as an ABC to the downside. And right now we are seeing a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going into a wave A, 3-wave pullback for a wave B, and a possible 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that could be now technically completed for this diagonal. Or if we are going to be a little bit more ambitious and look for higher levels around that perfect even 70K regions, that could also be a good spot for a wave 3. And then we'll get that another wave 3-wave pullback rather for that subwave 4 that should go back into the territory of wave 1, which is a tendency. And then we'll get that one final push for that wave 5, which is going to be met around that resistance of these previous highs here, and then we'll get that primary wave 1 to be completed, and we're going to look for a 3-wave pullback for that wave 2, and that should bring us back into the demand zone. And this right here should be a multi-week pullback, but we're going to be looking for the characteristic of a controlled pullback of an ABC or some kind of complex correction. Alternatively, could be really any pattern except a triangle, and then we're going to look for that most profitable wave, like I said, for that wave 3 of the higher degree, of that primary degree actually, for in the yellow. So this idea is coming into fruition and is actually now in technical validity standards a completed pattern for this wave 3. We're now looking for a possible wave 4 pullback, and we're going to be talking about that from the shorter time frames and see how this ABC could be completed, or if we're still working for an impulse to the upside and then get that A now and then get that B and then the C a little bit higher. Lots of ways we can do it. There's a lot of noise happening on the shorter time frames, so there's really no reason to talk about it. It just complicates a little bit more, and I think having too many daily analysis for these Bitcoins updates, it's going to be more complicated than anything else. As long as we're just looking for the general upside and then identifying the larger 3s or 5s, we're able to get the most general pattern out of the way, and then we can confirm those ideas or invalidate those ideas. But right now everything is coming into validity. So with that being said, the diagonal idea is now complete. And now the second idea is the uber bullish idea, which is extremely bullish, which is the idea of an extended wave 3 that we're working in now instead of having that wave 3 come at a later stage after the diagonal completes. What that means is that we have a 5-wave move going into wave 1. Alternatively, this looks like a 3-wave move, but we can't count 5 waves into this wave 1 here. We have a great looking flat structure here that does technically meet the standards for an expanded flat. We had originally anticipated this being a running flat, but those are rare in itself, and the more common pattern that usually plays out for Bitcoin are expanded flats. They are actually far more common than even normal flats. So that's something to keep in mind, and I am very confident that this idea will come into fruition if we continue to impulse out of here. So what that means is we also been looking for this expanded flat zone idea as well, and this idea we did get that bounce and we broke this previous high, which also confirms or helps validate this idea and give more confidence to the bulls that this may be a continuation to the upside if they're able to keep the buy pressure up in the coming weeks. So with that being said, this 1-2 is now completed as a possible WXY or an ABC depending on how you're seeing this last leg here, but we are looking for an impulse to the upside as the continuation, as this wave 1-2 is now complete. Like I've said, we're now working in the hierarchy of degrees, as a minor degree, intermediate degree, and then eventually to complete for that wave 3, which is going to be the extension as we're looking for a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a wave 3. So this wave 3, really, again, there's a lot of variabilities here, ladies and gentlemen, but just on the macro scale, this idea can be adjusted pretty much infinitely depending on how you're seeing this wave 1 being complete. The wave 1s are usually the trickiest to kind of play out for the impulses out of the 5 waves. Wave 5s are pretty predictable because you're looking for a breakout pattern after wave 4, but wave 1s, you have to really take into consideration market psychology and also the ideas of how it's completing the previous degree of a higher degree. And then if you're working in the hierarchy degree of a lower degree, it's really difficult to count 5 waves, especially when you're on the micro time frames here, as we're looking for the wave 1 of the intermediate degree here, and that is going to be a little bit more trickier. So with that being said, again, we can't have this as a wave 1, 2, and then we're working for an extended wave 3 of the lowest degree below the minor degree, and then we're working for 4, 5, and that should give us a pretty parabolic look for this intermediate degree wave 1, and then we'll get a 3-wave pullback for wave 2, 3, 4, 5 to follow suit. Now, again, alternative, like I said, infinitely adjusted. We could even just say that the wave 3, 4, and 5 is now complete. And then we're working for the intermediate degree right now, where this minor degree of 5 waves to the upside is complete. This wave 2 pullback is now going to be happening quite soon. And that also fits into the idea of having that diagonal idea. As you can see, we're still looking for that 3-wave pullback for both the ideas. So the alternative idea and also the primary idea is also coming into fruition in terms of the hybridness of how these wave pullbacks are going to be happening. So that is the beauty of Elliott Wave Theory. You are able to kind of identify, or if you have a list of scenarios that also do kind of line up, then that can be a very good confident booster for how these pullbacks are going to be happening, whether you're bullish or bearish. So if we're looking for a pullback no matter what, this 5-wave up could be alternatively completed now, and we're working for the intermediate 1, 2 as we speak, and then we're going to look for a 5-wave move up for this wave 3. Or we're going to be looking for this wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to happen a little bit later, which is going to be this idea right here. And then we'll have the minor degree still being worked upon as we speak. So we could really be extending this wave 3 as we speak as well for this minor degree. And we're just working on the lowest degree. Again, a little bit too tricky for how we're going to be counting it. It really doesn't matter. There's a lot of variabilities unless you're really trying to scalp the current time frames. But right now, we are ideally still looking for higher levels, as all of the scenarios are looking for upside, whether you're seeing a delayed 1-2 happening or the 1-2 is now completed now, where we had this small period of consolidation and distribution before we're actually going for the primary wave 3 now. So that's that. And then we have the one last option for the bears, which is going to be the 1-2 idea, which is the WXY idea. This is now the last resorted idea. I think that basically if you're seeing this as a 1-2 where you don't break the previous high, you only have a 10% leeway at this point now, and you are kind of risking everything at this point that this last idea of a pattern for a 1-2 is happening. And also on top of that, you're looking for a quite rare 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leading expanding diagonal, as this is a distribution as in itself, and that leads us into that wave 1. And you're looking for a 3-wave structure, again, any corrective structure other than a triangle for a wave 2. And in this case, we have a more complex structure of a double zigzag idea, where we have a WXY idea that goes into anywhere between this zone right here, between 66K and all the way up to 73K-ish. Then that would be kind of the last resort before that wave 2 can be validated before we break the previous high. And that right there is going to be that major wave 3 to the downside that should be bringing us all the way down to 33K levels, and that doesn't even get supported around these regions. I'd say I'll give this around 15% chance or 10% chance at this point, since we are so close to invalidation already. Even on the shorter time frames, we did have ideas or shared for the bearish idea that even this right here, it was so close to being invalidated anyways. This previous high being breaking was the anticipation, and that's what we got. So again, another technical possibility that wave Y is complete. Wave Y could be alternatively completing at a higher level. Again, 10% leeway before it gets invalidated, and it looks pretty much invalidated at this point for me. I don't like to see this as a current bearish pattern. Now, the other alternative idea is that this could be an ending diagonal, where we could be working for a higher level, still breaking the high, where we don't go for the the much higher levels of the 100K levels, where instead of this being a 3-4 being complete here, we have the same termination idea as a wave 3, a wave 4, and alternatively, this can be the diagonal in itself for the wave 5 that is going to be similar in nature instead of having the diagonal come for a wave 1, 2, where we have 3, 4, 5 going up for higher levels. Instead, we could be working for a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that could be breaking the previous high very with a small margin of error depending on how this wave 5 diagonal plays out. You really ideally want to have a really nice looking wave 5, and this will be that wave 5, and then we can be a pullback. But again, even this calls for higher levels. And at this point, we're going to be looking for another 20-30% higher levels. And from these bottoms here was already a 60%. So hopefully that was helpful. The shorter time frame updates have been updated on Patreon. So if you're not a Patreon member, please do subscribe to the Patreon membership. It's all in the description, or the links are in the description below rather. And also the Discord membership is also updated pretty much on a daily or bi-daily basis. I do all of my sentiment analysis on there as well. I give all of my ideas there. We've been operating since 2018. So feel free to contact me. Also, if you're not following me on social media on X at XForceGlobal, also a lot of engagement happening on there, lots of hate, lots of love, but we'll continue to do these analysis going forward. Hopefully that was helpful. This is a quick weekend update. Maybe I'll do another update if we get a lot of likes for these videos. Then I'll be making sure to continue these updates on a daily basis if you guys are interested. So please do make sure to subscribe and also like the video. I'll be making sure to come back with more videos. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye. Have a fantastic rest of the weekend.